Okay, good morning, everyone. And welcome you to the Area Agency on Aging Regional Advisory Council. Going to call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum, Melissa?
Yep.
We do?
Yep.
Thank you.
And Rosemary's coming in.
And let's go ahead with introductions. I'll introduce our RAC members first. So Debbie, want to say hi? You need to unmute your mic.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, welcome. Marilyn.
Good morning. This is Marilyn Massey. I represent the seniors in Colorado Springs.
Okay, Eric.
Good morning. I'm Eric Bidwell. I'm a manager with the Department of Human Services here in El Paso County.
Jen.
Good morning, I'm Jen Lemo. I'm with Colorado Community Health Alliance, Colorado Medicaid for Region 7, El Paso, Park, and Teller counties.
Great. Rosemary.
Good morning. Oh, wait. Sorry. Just trying to get settled in here. Rosemary Hadamio with the Alzheimer's Association.
Welcome. Kathy.
Kathy Lowry, Teller Senior Coalition.
Maria.
Hey everyone, good morning. Maria Cordova with the Independence Center. We serve Teller Park, El Paso County, also Kit Carson, Cheyenne, and Lincoln.
Welcome. Okay, let's go pick up all our guests here this morning. Did I miss, is Bill on?
Not yet. And Bill is not on yet from Park County, and Chris Larson did send an email that she's had a family emergency, so she is missing our meeting. And of course, Jody is not with us right now either, but I will mention that his family emergency has gotten better, but he is in West Virginia right now.
Okay, thank you for that update. Let's see, let's introduce Lori Zions.
Hi, this is Lori Zionswood. I'm the Chief Operations Officer from Silver Key. Happy to be here this morning.
Okay, Tim Richard.
Yeah, Tim Richard with Eyesight Connections. We're doing a presentation this morning.
Wonderful. Jared. You need to turn on your mic.
I'm sorry. Hi, Jared Graham with Eyesight Connections.
Great, welcome. Melody.
Good morning, everyone. Melody Hannah, the Program Services and Contract Administrator for Pikes Peak AAA.
Laura.
Good morning, Laura Cruz, Mobility Coordinator for PPACG.
Great, welcome. And people in the room. Melissa.
So Melissa Martz with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging. And behind me, we have our other guest presenter today, Rebecca Shields with New Vision. And then also in the audience, we have Cynthia Margiotta from Pearls Program of Colorado.
Okay, welcome everyone. Our first order of business is our consent items related to our agenda and minutes. Those were, the link to those were attached on the notice for this meeting. May I have a motion to approve the agenda and minutes? Or I should have said other.
I'll make.
Go ahead.
I approve. Yeah,
Debbie?
I approve the agenda.
You make a motion to approve the
I
agenda?
make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second B.
Okay. Similarly, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Right, and Eric, would you second
Yes.
those?
Yes, I
Thank you
will. That's
very
fine.
much. Are there any corrections to either of these items? Hearing none, all those members in favor of approving the agenda and minutes, please raise your hand. Thank you. Those opposed? The agenda and minutes are approved. Do we have any public comments this morning, Melissa? No. Okay. So we're going to move right into our presentations. Well, Rosemary, Rosemary is here. That would be good. Rosemary, we're going to move that the change to the bylaws item up front because we have members that have to leave early. Could you describe to the membership what's being proposed? We're not going to vote on it at this meeting. We're just bringing it up for discussion.
Okay, so the proposed motion is, like you said, up for discussion. The RAC Executive Committee does support the additional items in this role. And so just to summarize, it is a bylaw amendment to have a emeritus director kind of membership category. So just to summarize, Jody Barker is seeking the opportunities to further develop leadership on the RAC. And one opportunity is around the chair succession. He has proposed that the departing chair, if their second RAC term is up, they could stay on for another year in an emeritus director role. An emeritus director is a former board chair who is invited to stay on the board for another year term as a non-voting member. It is in an advisory capacity. And so just a little background. So what frequently happens is councils are serving in this role, in this capacity. And so when they leave this role, you know, a lot goes with them. And so we want to make sure that we're not leaving a gap and having that chair kind of mentor that new chair. So that's where we're at.
Do we have any discussion by members related to this proposed bylaws change?
I will just say, I think that it sounds like that's a good idea from the perspective of transferring knowledge from one to another. I know that, you know, it's very similar to in organizational setups when you have an individual who has a large amount of experience when they retire and leave, not an opportunity for that knowledge to be transferred to the next person. You can, as an organization, you can lose an awful lot. And so the concept of, you know, the chair kind of helping, you know, guide and mentor the new chair, at least initially when they begin, I think that's a good idea. I don't have any concerns with that personally.
I have a question. So if a person is not at the end of their second 3-year term and they want to stay as chair, is that what usually happens? They stay then as chair if they agree to do that? And is this happening a lot where a person is at the end of their second 3-year term and they're leaving?
So I missed the first part of that, or so right now we're just focusing on B and her exiting. And so part of that is just kind of making sure that we have that we keep that support and that leadership. And I think what happens also is people get nervous about stepping into a chair role. And so if they have somebody there to kind of help guide them and walk them through, and just kind of kind of mentor them, I think that might make it a little bit more, make it so that somebody will want to fill that role. I don't know what's happened in previous years with previous chairs and how long they've stayed.
No, I think it's a good idea. So this is for the chair of the RAC, not necessarily the subcommittees that we have, or does this apply to the subcommittees as well?
This is just for the RAC.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea.
Any other comments?
I agree.
Any, many organizations have a past president role, and we simply do not have that. So that's one of the considerations here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any comments? No.
Well, thank you, Rosemary. And as we mentioned, that will be voted on then at the next meeting.
Okay. Wonderful. And I think it's really exciting that you're willing to stay in that role and do that mentorship. I think it's a lot of time on your plate, but we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay, well, let's move on to our presentations. Okay, so our first presentation is by Tim Richards from Eyesight. Tim, you're on stage.
Sure, great, thank you. I just want to say thank you to the RAC Committee and PPACG for the funding that we received this year with Eyesight Connections. And I want to introduce Jared Graham with the new funding cycle this year. We were able to hire on Jared as a volunteer program manager to develop some of our services through Eyesight Connections. And he's actually going to do the presentation here this morning. And if I do have a slide deck, do I have permission to share my screen?
You do, Tim.
Okay, great, thanks. I am going to put it in mode and share my screen. All right, and then there we go. So everybody should see the Eyesight Connection slide. Is that true and accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
great.
can see it.
And then I'm going to turn it over to Jared, who again, we just hired on this last summer through the new funding. So again, thank you for that. And Jared, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. Super excited to speak with you all today. As Tim said, I am Jared Graham. My role is volunteer project manager. Obviously, I wear many hats in a new nonprofit, but that is my main focus right now. So I get the pleasure of talking about just what we're doing and sharing with you guys. I want to second Tim on saying thank you so much just for the funding, and it's given us an opportunity to take care of so many visually impaired seniors. I'm especially passionate about this since I'm visually impaired myself. I have a mother that's a senior, so I know as a disabled person what it's like to have to gain more and more as the technology advances, and how it's hard to keep up sometimes in society, but also having a mother who's a senior as well, and how hard it is for her every time she gets a new phone or things are difficult for her. So I'm extremely passionate about everything we're doing as Eyesight Connections. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to put them in the chat and Tim will let you know. And you're welcome to interrupt me at any point. So we were previously serving as Eyesight Rehab. We have moved over to the nonprofit side as Eyesight Connections. This is our 5th cycle of the grant, and we have served so many impaired seniors in our community. It's been incredible. Last grant cycle, we served 134 clients and 59 unique ones. So it's been just a pleasure to watch and see how much we've been able to bring independence to so many of our seniors. We have many services to come as well on the way. Go ahead, next slide. All right, I wanted to talk a bit about our vision, our mission statement, and our core values. Our vision is, and I'm going to read this verbatim, so if it sounds like that, that's why. Those affected by vision loss have easy access to the resources, education, and support needed to live their best lives. Our mission statement is, we provide instruction and resources through certified teachers and volunteers to those affected by vision loss in assistive technology, travel, and daily living skills. Our core values are we provide excellence and integrity in service, foster growth in others and ourselves, treat everyone with dignity and respect. A lot of these we really constantly pound into anyone that works with our community. I think it's extremely important, especially in the senior community. I feel often I see a lot of this is lacking, especially dignity and respect, and just helping foster growth. I think a lot of times people will feel like, and there's a misinformation of seniors getting to a point where they're kind of just done with society. So we really want to make sure that we understand that there is extreme value and they're extremely important to our community. All right, go ahead, next slide. All right, these are the services for our certified instructors, as well as our volunteer program that we are starting up. We have certified instructors that offer orientation and mobility, daily living skills, adaptive communication, assistive technology, low vision, and recreational. This is all things that our certified instructors offer, but also are going to be supported by our brand new volunteer program. We're hoping that as we waitlist seniors, that our volunteers can come in and offer just some extra assistance along the way, both to support them as they're waitlisted, with reading, helping around to organization of mail, things like that, but also assisting as we go along the teachers and what they have already offered and supporting that. All right, next slide. All right, so I want to start with kind of O&M. Some of you may have heard of all of these, but I wanted to go through and kind of talk a little bit more about what we offer service-wise to each of our seniors and why it's important. So in O&M, if you don't know what that means, orientation and mobility. This is anytime you see a disabled person walking with a cane or a guide dog, this is orientation and mobility. We focus on cane training, how to properly cross streets, how to get around outside or in a living center inside of a living community, how to find your way from your room to the cafe to anywhere you need to be inside the building or outside the building, how to properly navigate without running into things, how to help other humans help guide you, have your dog guide you. These are all extremely important things. I think it's really, I got to go through this myself. It's a lot of fun to close your eyes and walk across the street and understand what it's like for someone who's completely blind to do that. The environment is intense though. I know that even within the seniors I've met with, there's a few that they are not allowed to leave their room because of their visual impairment, just for fear of them getting hurt. So offering the ability for us to go to the center and say, hey, we taught them mobility, we've taught them orientation, they know how to guide themselves to where they need to go without hurting or falling down the stairs, has been invaluable for our seniors. All right, next slide. All right, the next is daily living skills. Just exactly what it says. There's a lot of that includes this though. So I'm gonna go through some of the different ones just in case. These are things that we do on a daily basis, and as sighted people, as someone who went from 20/20 vision now to being visually impaired, it's definitely something I took for granted. This is simple stuff like meal prep and organization of your home, things that are extremely difficult to do when your vision is lost and you don't have the skills to do it. So we help them to learn what they need to do to get around in the daily life. Next slide. This is also maintenance and safety. We do labeling with bump dots. If you don't know what bump dots are, these are rubber dots that you put on your oven or dishwasher, things like that, that help you to understand where the dial is guided, or as we're getting more and more advanced, where the electronic button is that doesn't actually have a physical button. So this helps a senior who can't see their stuff guide and learn where their buttons are on their machines in order to help properly use them. All right, next slide. This is one of my favorites. I actually don't have this, but I've gotten to see it in action and I love it. It is a Pen Friend audio labeler. This helps seniors with things like spices. Oh my gosh, as someone who is visually impaired trying to cook and not be able to see the spices on my jar and what they are can quickly become a really bad thing when you're trying to add cinnamon and you add cayenne pepper. Obviously you can smell the spices, but it's a lot more helpful to have an audio labeler that actually speaks out what you're looking at, and just in case you can't see it. It's extremely difficult to get around in your life when you're trying to find the rice and it's struggling to see where that's at. We help with financial management, cleaning. That's a big one. You can ask my wife. That has been very helpful for me. And so I love getting to help other seniors be able to independently live and clean their own homes. There's a lot of techniques so that they can actually have a clean, well-maintained home. Medical management, anything from helping to help organize their pills and things like that. Tracking time. I don't know if you've ever tried to look at a clock with the blindfold on, but it's really hard to figure out what time of day it is when you can't see. Grooming and hygiene, helping them feel independent in that way. Clothing care, family care, a big part. If some of our seniors obviously have most of their family are adults, but there are some that take care of their grandkids. That's a very big part of our society now, where there are seniors and grandparents taking care of their grandchildren. So offering them the ability to learn how to take care of their children and be independent and feel in control and still as an adult in their lives. Yeah, and the adjustment to it all. This is really the daily living skills part for me was probably the biggest part that I needed help with. And even just meeting with our seniors on a day-to-day basis, talking with one just the other day, who she had never heard of bump dots, and she couldn't even access her, just simple stuff around her house. So getting to just tell her that this is something our instructors are going to help you with, or volunteers can come in and help with some of this, really changed her entire day, and just, I think, life from there on out, to know that we were going to help her to be an independent person. She had a lot of support from other companies coming in and doing things for her, but it was extremely important to her to still have an independence, and help to maintain her own home and take care of things. So seeing that joy and excitement is amazing. All right, next slide, Tim. We have adaptive communication as well. This is things like the talking book library. This is very popular, but extremely important to seniors who love to read and are not able to read anymore, to have an audio option. Audio newspaper services. This is kind of becoming outdated, but there are still actually quite a few seniors I've known that love to find a way to read newspapers still, and want to hear from the newspaper sources like the Gazette or Denver Post. We teach Braille, paperwork management, billing, handwriting, note-taking, typing, and use of the telephone, which this is a huge one for a lot of our seniors, especially as they have to change telephones. So all of these are big parts. Every one of my seniors that I've talked to all love taking hand notes. And so it's helping them to figure out how to keep their notes organized so they can remember our numbers or find the locations and the services they need in order to work on a day-to-day basis. All right, next slide, Tim. And assistive technology. This one I am extremely passionate about more than anything, as well as since our age is moving towards a very technological age. This time period right now, we are more digital than we've ever been before, and we're growing in that way. And a lot of seniors are starting to feel really left behind. I know my mom, every time she has to get a new phone, it's like a headache. And so we're here to support in that, and also to show them how assistive technology more than ever is capable of supporting them in their vision loss and doing things for them that they never thought were possible. So computer basics, getting them back onto a computer and how to use this in emails to family members and friends. Accessibility options, if they're not fully blind, if they're visually impaired, how to change the colors and accesses on their screens. Screen readers like JAWS, if they are fully blind, or screen magnifiers to help magnify if they're just mostly lost their vision, to read the screens to them and help them navigate around, to do a lot of the things. A lot of companies use websites. Medical companies want to use websites now for all their documentation and everything. And so when they need to go to a doctor's appointment, they have to navigate a website. It's extremely helpful to be able to do that on their own. Use of just basic and standard software. There's Braille note takers online and Braille displays. Those are huge. I've seen a lot of that use with seniors. It's really helpful for them. And then smartphones, obviously being one of the biggest ones. I had a lady the other day that was really funny. She wasn't able to access her Bible app. And so at church, her sister was getting extremely upset at her that she was spending more time trying to figure out how to work her Bible app than to pay attention at the service. And she was talking about her frustration with this, and I was able to get on her smartphone and show her this accessible option on her Bible app. It took me probably 30 seconds and it changed her entire week. This is a huge part of what we do to our teach our seniors is how to get their smartphones to work for them and work with them to make their lives a lot easier, to be able to text and call and email their family members as they're starting to feel more and more disconnected if they're not able to keep up on this. So really reconnecting them with society and their family and friends is a beautiful, amazing thing. All right, and on our next slide, we're talking about low vision instruction, or LVI also is what it's known as. And then this is, a lot of these all work together, but it's an effective use of the residual vision. As someone who's not fully blind, this is a huge part of learning how to use devices to help me see rather than just to do the seeing for me. So we use a lot of that and teaching them how to use the vision they still have left to do what they need to do. Magnifiers, this is a huge one that a lot of my seniors really love because it really helps them to still use their vision and be able to see again, feel like they can actually look and read as well. CCTVs are also, if you don't know what those are, closed caption televisions, but they are for kind of like magnifiers themselves. Yes, like the one on the screen shows you it. They have gotten a lot more advanced, but they now can change the inversion of the screen, zoom in, and they can actually now, a lot of them are able to read the words off the page to our seniors to help them just if they're getting a headache from looking at a screen too long. We have portable electronic magnifiers. They're like CCTVs, but just a much smaller handheld version. Monoculars, something that a lot of our seniors like to use, and sunshades to really help them when they go outside. As part of most vision losses, any kind of disorders, there is a huge issue with sun. It just hurts a lot, or transitioning from the outside to the inside. So just having sunshades to block out certain gamma rays and just help them to get around a lot easier in the outdoor worlds, or switching from outside to inside a lot, really just offers a lot of that. And there's a lot of other aids that we do. This is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. And then on the next slide, we're talking about recreation and leisure. There are many adaptive games that we use with our seniors. A lot of them living in living centers, I'm sorry. They have games and things there, but they're not often usable for the visually impaired. They're hard to use. So we have like large print cards or Braille on trivia cards, things that can help them get reconnected with their new community of people, so that they can go down to the mess hall or the community hall and spend time with people inside their community, because that is a huge part. Some of my seniors that are living by themselves, that have no family nearby, their biggest desire over visual impairment is just the connection, which is a big part of what our volunteer program is offering, is that if they have no community around them, that we're giving them a community of people to be around them and support them. But if they are living in a living community, it's really helpful for them to get in and connect with the people that are around them. So on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about where we provide these services. We really have seen the need for transportation. I know that one of the members here is Silver Key, and so I just want to put out a thank you to what your company is doing, and many others I'm sure in the group. But transportation difficulties is probably one of the biggest issues for the visually impaired community in general, but it just magnifies as a senior, and getting transportation difficulties is difficult. So just getting to these seminars or things around town that might help with their visual impairment is become near impossible. Being able to tell these seniors that we come to their home and do in-home services for them, to teach them at their home all these different things, is extremely a huge stress reliever for most of our seniors. It's just knowing that they don't have to go anywhere or try and figure out, especially in living centers, they're so backed up with how many seniors they have that I had a couple of seniors talk about just getting to go to the grocery store is a 3 to 4 month ordeal. So us offering in-home services has really been a game changer for them. And on the next slide, we're talking about our specialists. So we have specialists in each area. We have the assistive technology specialists and we have an O&M specialist. We have ones that definitely do a lot of the same stuff, but we have ones that specialize in. Tim Richards himself does a lot of work with our assistive technology teachers, and he's probably one of the most incredible assistive technology teachers I've ever met. And so we have that team to really make sure that we're giving the best and greatest support, and we don't allow any subpar instructors onto our team. It's extremely important to us that they care very deeply for their clients and that they know what they're talking about, so that we are really giving our seniors the best we can possibly give them in our community. And the biggest part, and probably my favorite part to see, is the hope. I think I've talked about it quite a bit during this, but I think that is, for me, the biggest thing that a lot of our seniors need is hope. That's the biggest attribute, to know that they can still have an amazing life of independence and not be completely cut off from society. So absolutely, that's it. Our final slide. Any questions from anybody?
I have a question. So how do you reach out to the community to make families or others aware of the kinds of services that you have?
That is a great question. Tim, you want to go ahead and handle that one?
Yeah. So as we've been building the program over the last few years, we have 5 teachers now that are certified and providing this instruction on a contracting service. And so we've tried to manage it so that we're not overgrowing our serviceability. And so we do receive a lot of referrals from the low vision doctor in town. There's a few low vision doctors in town that are starting to now refer seniors to us, as well as the Independent Center. We get some from School for the Deaf and Blind, but also what we've done before COVID was going actually to senior retirement communities and presenting, doing a presentation on living with vision loss seminar. And that is an easy way to get that. We've put up flyers in retirement communities. And so right now we do have a wait list. It's not big right now because we haven't marketed too much, because we're trying to like slowly build it so we have that capacity. And one of the reasons that we're building the volunteer program is to provide services in that meantime of just free services in the community and some support and some companionship and on that level, until we have a certified instructor that can provide the more in-depth services. And especially as we provide instruction on how to use your phone or your iPad or computers, then that volunteer can provide that support instruction, that practice, even just learning to type after vision loss occurs and that type of thing on a computer. So we're going to use our volunteers in that capacity as well.
Other questions?
What are your service areas? Do you just serve El Paso County?
El Paso and Teller County is the service areas that we provide. Yeah.
I have a question. So, Tim, would you like Silver Key to refer folks to you, or right now are you saying?
Yes, no, yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, we do. And that's why we're building it now that Jared's on, we are. And we just hired on 2 more teachers. And so for contracting services. So yes, we are open and ready for services. You can absolutely refer clients to us. So when you can go to our website, eyesightconnections.org. This last year, we just launched that new website, and we should be able to receive referrals through the website, as well as just contact us by phone, email, however, and we will reach out to them and provide services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Jared, I taught teachers, special ed teachers, throughout my career and was familiar with a lot of the assistive technologies, but now I've been retired for 10 years. So What do you see as the biggest developments in the assistive technologies over the last decade?
Tim's gonna help me fill in on this one because that's his realm, but smart devices is probably for me been the biggest improvement over the years. Apple especially, not being biased, all of them do incredible stuff, but I use Apple products and they're capable of kind of taking a lot of very expensive technology and putting it into one location for you and doing it really well. So that's definitely an advancement in the assistive technology field where my phone is a magnifier, a screen reader, voice to text, everything that I need to, recorder, all in the same position and very easily usable. So it makes it really easy for me not to carry around a lot of extra equipment. Just to have my phone on me makes the day-to-day a lot easier.
That makes lots of sense because early on, each of those features, you had to have a separate device for each of those.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's some really cool ones too, like Orcam glasses as well as eSight glasses now, which you basically wear them. They're Google glasses and they take a picture and they can access text, and they also do a video. So you can actually have a friend or companion who has a smartphone and you turn on your glasses and they see through a video what's in front of you, which helps with mobility a little bit as far as orientation and to be able to access, say you lost something, need help finding it and you're totally blind, you can call someone, have the video, and they can see exactly what you're seeing in front of you to guide you through that through audio.
Yeah.
And what's been the key with teaching seniors how to use this new technology? I mean, what I find is most seniors say, oh, my son comes by and he goes zap, 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 and he thinks I should know how to do it. In other words, most teachers go way too fast, and then they oftentimes are way too complex in what they present.
Yeah, the key is patience.
Yep. I was gonna say the same thing.
Breaking it down and walking with the senior where they're at, not in front of them, just side by side, and making sure that you're talking at their level, that you're communicating. And not everyone wants to do all this technology. So you break it down to what they're actually going to, you don't just provide the technology, provide what are they going to use. That's why the evaluation is so key, as well as this is what's going to be great for you. And if it's the simple one button, that's where we stop with, and we go from there. And then the volunteer support to kind of add that extra reinforcement throughout the weeks.
Sure.
Yes. And
Other
many of our
questions?
seniors too, when we have the technology set up for them, stays permanent, so our zoomed in or things like that, we can lock them in place so that they don't have to play around and know how to set it up for themselves. It's set up for them. So.
Okay.
Is there a limit to the amount of sessions that somebody can have, or is it they can keep meeting with somebody until they understand what they're trying to do?
Yeah, that's a fluctuating thing. We start off with 10 sessions, and then if they need more, then we can continue to do more, but we have to kind of establish a limit. But really with the technology piece, there's so much in the reinforcement, but that's where the volunteers can come in and then provide that reinforcement until what's been taught, then they reinforce what's been taught.
Mm-hmm.
So the grant that you're getting allows you to not charge for the service, or do you have a sliding scale? How does that work?
Yeah, we don't charge for anything, for any service. Mm-mm.
And that's been a very huge key for a lot of our seniors living on very close funds. They're like, okay, so how much am I going to have to pay for this? Because I don't have it. It's been one thing we can take off their plate instead of adding to their plate of things they're going through.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Tim and Jared. We really appreciate your sharing that information with us. And we're going to move on to our next speaker. As Melissa told me when we walked in here, I was supposed to remind everybody this October is Meet the Blind Month. And of course, that's coming up in a few days here. So that's obviously why we scheduled these two speakers for today. So our next speaker is Rebecca Shields from New Vision. And she's on her way up here right now.
So Rebecca's on her way to the podium. And we're going to get her set up there with it turned on and do a little mic check, and then we'll have her get started. Do you know how to turn it on, Cynthia? There you go, you got it. Sometimes it helps.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Shields, as she said, and I've met several of you. It's nice to be here again on a misty morning. I don't want to be repetitive about what you've just heard, and I don't have a visual presentation. I told Melissa that I guess we had a miscommunication, because I thought she was going to work with me on the computer on that part. So I apologize that you're just going to be listening to me, and she does have a flyer there, so she can you show that if I need to follow through with what I'm or not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter then. Okay. So I welcome your questions as I try to explain to you about New Vision's role in our community and what we offer blind and visually impaired folks. First of all, I also want to thank PPACG and the RAC committee for all your support. I've been with you a long time. I've met many, many people with PPACG and truly appreciate the relationship that New Vision has with you. New Vision was created, and our mission statement is also that we support blind and visually impaired individuals and those who have other disabilities that might also be challenging in their lives, along with either being blind or visually impaired. And I serve individuals who sometimes are not blind or visually impaired through New Vision. So I have a kind of a wide spectrum of people that I serve. Our mission is to make sure that individuals have quality of life, and that they are their quality of life is healthy and they're happy, and that we can provide them with service to keep them from being isolated and lose, purpose in life. You can give a person all the instruction you want to what they need to do in their personal lives and how to get someplace. You can provide them with a lot of instruction about all the next technology, the fanciest of all. But if that individual doesn't have hope and they don't have the sense of purpose, and they've lost that through their process of going through this change in their life, then they really don't want to do this, the steps of instruction, and they're not ready to take on all of that. They're overwhelmed. So one of the things that New Vision does, like I said, I don't want to be repetitive, and you've heard about all the services that Tim's business does, and we do very much all the same things, the same services, I should say. So, but one thing that New Vision does is, we see individuals see people as individuals. None of my people are, I don't use a cookie cutter way of teaching them or giving them what they need. Everybody's an individual. So when we do an intake, we find out what their goal is, what they really want to work on. Some people want to work on being able to just leave their home and come and be with other individuals. So we do a lot of group work. through group work, people really grow. They really become healthy in many ways that they weren't when they walked in the door. They realize that with folks who are going through what they are, they have ideas. The person sitting next to them has lost hope, and they can share with them where they were there once. I have folks who at one time were in assistant living and had to be there and thought that there wasn't anything that could be done about it. And now they live in their own apartment. I work a lot with the community, with housing. I work with HUD Housing. I work with other agencies. Gratio Housing and New Vision have quite a relationship. I have a relationship with the Department of Human Services. I've done contracts with them and helped a lot of folks become ready to live in the community and blend in through, what New Vision has done to give them their respect and their quality of life back when they felt like they had lost it. We also have a certified individual who teaches, our teacher teaches the orientation, mobility, and life skills. Actually, it's the same teacher that Tim has, so she serves both agencies. She's a lady who has had years of instruction and years of experience with people, and clients really enjoy her and feel confident with what she has presented with them. We teach Braille. I have a class right now of 10 individuals who are moving through the process of learning Braille, and I have a couple of them who are reading to their grandchildren and never thought that they could do that, and their grandchildren are really excited about grandma sitting with them, and they're looking at a book that has both print and Braille and pictures with it, and the kids are really enjoying what they didn't know grandma could do. I have people who have unfortunately lost enough in their life where they have to be in an assisted living. We have volunteers who go with our staff and we visit our shut-ins and help them to blend into the situation that they're living in. One lady was come to New Vision for services for, she's been with me since about 2014, and she is now in an assisted living. She has dementia. She's lost all of her vision. And I went to see her the other day and spent 2 hours with her, and she sort of knew who I was at one moment, and then the next moment she didn't know who I was, and all she could say was, "You brought me a cane? I want to leave. Come and get me. Take me away. Where's my cane? Do you have your cane? You know your cane? You have to have your cane." She's a little Oriental lady. Her English is not the best, but in a moment, then she knew who I was. Then she cried and she kept referring to me as you help me, you help me. And it's the process that individuals go through when they end up with this robbing disease, and her husband is going through a very difficult time. In our support groups, our family members are very important. And he told me the other day when he phoned me to give me some progress on her, he said, "I couldn't have ever made it without coming to your support group and visiting with the other, especially men who have faced what I have." And he's now, being mentored by another gentleman, and he lost his wife to a serious stroke, and he was a caregiver for her, and she was totally blind in the end. And I visited her many times. Now this man is visiting with the husband of the other lady, and they have become, kind of buddies, and they've teamed up. And New Vision wants to be a part of people's lives and give them that purpose and bring them back to where maybe they used to be, but they can still do it without good vision. We also offer the daily living skills that Jared talked about. We offer a lot of skills of recreation. Also, they love to come together and play bingo and play cards, and we often have a social time when they can come, and our volunteers help with those card games. And you know, they get into a game of Monopoly, and they like, I didn't know I could do this, and I have real money now, and they just really laugh and enjoy it. They're blending together, and they're bonding with someone who they say they don't feel like that when they're out in their community or in their independent living situations. People kind of shun them. I work a lot with folks how to, you know, get to the grocery store, and what do you say when you get to the grocery store and you need help, or can you order your groceries and have them delivered to you? We work a lot on that. We have volunteers who help people with ordering their groceries, so that they, especially that started through COVID. I work with folks who don't have transportation. I have a man out in Peyton who has no transportation. He has to wait for his son to have a day off before he can come into the city and you know, get to do anything, because he's new to his vision loss, and there is no transportation out there. So we collaborate a lot with other agencies. I get my referrals a lot from, I've been in this community. I'm a native and living with blindness all my life. In this community, I know many, many people. And so I get a lot of referrals just from someone calling me and say, I heard about you and I saw you at a church and where you spoke. And I do a lot with churches and talk to them. And people will say, my mother needs this now, and can I refer her? And so I get a lot of referrals like that. I also work with the doctors and meet with them. New Vision is an agency that is there for the people and for bringing them to feel whole again, and to through a lot of different connections and a lot of different situations. We want them to become blended with the community and feel safe. And our place of service, our office, they often tell me they feel like it's a safe haven for them and they feel safe there. We do a lot of work on emergency management. I've attended emergency management meetings in the community, and so I follow up with that and help my people know what to do in an emergency. A lot of them didn't know about how to be on the system where you can get a reverse 911 call. They didn't know about that. They didn't know how to do that. So I made sure that they were aware of that through teaching them and helping them get set up with that. I do a lot of help with them with if they need their services, Medicaid, or helping them get their food resources. They don't know where a food pantry is. I have a lot of low-income people who really need to know what to do. What's the next meal? How do I get meals delivered? I collaborate a lot with the agencies that do the meals and do the services. Do a lot of one-on-one counseling with people when people feel like they're at the end of the rope. They can't deal with it. They don't want to do it anymore. I work a lot with UCCS Gerontology Agency, and I've worked with them for years. I know the first lady who began that organization, her mother was actually a client of mine. So I knew about UCCS's gerontology program even before it began. And I work closely with them. I do have a degree in mental health and in social work. I do have a graduate degree in that. So I like the rest of the people I hire are also certified. My teachers are certified and have degrees also. My volunteers all have had background checks and have been with me for years. I have volunteers who have been with me for over 10 years and who support my people and help them to fill out forms if they need that when they come, they need to, you know, have something marked, or they need help with that. Volunteers are wonderful for that. I have a volunteer who calls everybody on their birthday, if they would like that, and from New Vision, and remember their birthday, not an automated call. She calls and says, New Vision's calling to wish you happy birthday. These people are overjoyed. They may not have anybody else. Like I said, I don't want to be repetitive because you've heard all about all the instructions that are offered through Tim's agency. And so we do a lot of the same thing. They have a lot of the same. They have some of my clients that they have had come over to their business. So we do a lot of the same things. I don't want you to have to hear the same thing again, but I'm open to questions. And I'm sorry that I'm not a full-blown fancy presentation, but I guess I'm so comfortable with PPACG anymore that I didn't think about, you know, doing it in a real fancy way. I guess if I had never met you, I probably would have worked harder on doing that.
Rebecca,
thank you.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like when Jody and I were at a meeting together, a business meeting a couple of weeks ago, and he come up to me and, you know, I felt like he was just, you know, an old colleague from where all over. And someone said, you know him? I said, absolutely, I do. So anyway, I'm sorry for being a little bit laid back, perhaps.
So Rebecca, this is Melissa, and thank you for being here in person. And people can see you at the podium, which is wonderful. And what I would like to hear a little bit from you too is a little bit about the transportation work. So you have about 5 more minutes.
I forgot about that.
And
part.
I would like for you to maybe share a little bit about TPAC and share a little bit about your role in the transportation world. And again, maybe about 7 more minutes, and do leave a few more seconds for questions from folks. But if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about transportation and the role that you've played in that realm.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you the transportation is, for me, it is something that I have dealt with my whole life. My parents did not drive. They traveled on public transportation from the day I was born. So buses, trains, you know, planes, you know, and in the city metro city buses, we go way back before the law even said that there had to be public transportation for people with disabilities. So, you know, my father's 90 years old, and if he could walk, and he is visually impaired, has been all his life. And so if he could walk better, he'd probably still take city transit. So I go way back with transportation. So it's a big concern. As I see people who've once driven and no longer know how to get someplace, it concerns me. So we do work very closely with city transit. I helped create the TPAC committee way back in 2008. There were 18 of us pioneers who came together and committed and created that committee. And it's still standing. The city was at one point involved with us from 2013 till 2022, when they decided that they had other priorities and they could no longer be with TPAC and work side by side. They want to collaborate with us, but they wanted to pull out. They were not voting members on our board, but they were a big part of us. And we determined that we will be able to go on, and we are. And so I teach people how to get around with Metro Mobility. I think Metro Mobility is one of the most wonderful pieces of transportation we have. They have their issues and the city owns them, has them contracted out, but they truly try very hard. I'm a part of the training of some of Metro Mobility's programs. They've asked me to do training with them for their drivers and on how to deal with people with many disabilities, not just being visually impaired, because that's only one small disability in this community. We have thousands of people with other disabilities. So I'm trying to work with PPACG on their part of transportation. We had a meeting and we had 16 people there just worried about transportation clients. And we thought it was a good turnout. Laura Cruz and I have collaborated and tried to work together. So we've been in front of city council. I've gone before city council with some of my clients concerning transportation. So I believe that it is a huge part of who New Vision is. I believe they probably know New Vision from the back of their hand at the city level and at the Metro Mobility level. I work very well with Invita. They're a great service. They have really tried to accommodate individuals with seniors and those with disabilities. I work well with Goodwill Wheels. What is it? Oh dear. Anyway, with Goodwill's program, we're taking individuals to dialysis. So I have collaborated with them. I have people who go to dialysis on weekends. Is that what you want to hear?
Yes, Rebecca, that's great. Thank you very, very much. So we'll turn it over to questions for folks. Thanks, Rebecca.
Do we have any questions from participants? I was really interested in your family member support group. What are the things that family members need to learn when their, spouse, for example, loses their vision?
You're asking me that?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
asking.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were through. Yes, and when we have a couples group and spouses come. And then during that group time, sometimes what we do is we split. A teacher that I have and I split the group, and sometimes the spouses are in one group and then the spouse who has a vision issue, we do a different group. And we have the same, subject, what we're presenting that day. And, but, the spouses may have a different outlook and they want to know, and some of them really have to have answers and they don't know the answer. And they, they want to feel like a spouse. They don't always want to feel like a caregiver, but some of them take on that caregiving aspect and they forget that they're the person who's losing vision and has maybe gone through a difficult time. They don't need to have, they want to puppet them and they want to tell them everything they can do and what they can't do. And they sort of lose their role as a team member of being in a relationship. And so, we try to help them through that process. Sometimes relationships are on the rocks. People don't want to be in a relationship anymore with someone who's lost their vision and things are difficult and they can no longer drive and they can no longer, do the things they used to do. Maybe they don't, the sighted person doesn't cook and the other person's having a hard time and all of a sudden they're having meals brought in or they're mad or whatever. So we work very hard on helping people together. I tell them, one of you may be losing your vision, but you both are going to live with the result. And the result is that person's losing vision and may lose all of their vision, but it affects both of them. And that's what I'm trying to say. I have one, so I have one client, she was totally blind now. And her family is large and her husband is in a wheelchair because he has severe diabetes and he sees fine, but he's in a wheelchair. He was quite a military man and was able-bodied. Now, what do? She holds onto the wheelchair while he, takes him into the grocery store and she has her cane and she holds onto the wheelchair. What a team, but they care very much about each other and they work together. That's an example of how we help our families still stay together.
Thank you, Rebecca. Other questions?
I guess I want you to know that New Vision does a lot of presentations. I do a lot with the retirement homes. I do a lot of presentations with other companies, other agencies that serve people in any way, and talk to them, and just talk to them as a human being and let them know my people are really just individuals, and all the teaching in the world is wonderful, but you got to know them as an individual. And I think New Vision knows our people so well, and we know their heartaches, and that comes into play a lot. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Okay, we're going to move on to the other business on our agenda. Our membership subcommittee, Rosemary, is there any other information you want to share with us? Rosemary?
I think she mentioned earlier in the comments that she had to step away.
She had to stay.
Come back,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, we'll come back around. Then I think Jen had to step away too from our strategic review subcommittee. So let's go on to our director's report. Melissa is standing in for Jody today.
So this is Melissa, and I'm not on the screen, so you guys can't see me, but hopefully can hear me okay. Just a few updates for today. I also have Kent Matthews here, our family caregiver support staffer, who's going to comment a few minutes at the podium. Leading up to that, though, again, I gave an update that Jody's mom is doing better, so that's good, but he is in West Virginia at this point in time, taking care of her and his dad. And so the updates that I have, and Melody may have a few things too to share. If I forget something, Melody, that is on your mind, you can jump into. But basically, I'm going to just share our 4-year community conversations. We have scheduled the ones here in El Paso County, and I will be sending out an email to folks with the actual flyer. We do have a couple paper copies here in the room, but I'll be sending out an email. The first one is happening October 7th, and it is in Calhan at Swink Hall at the fairgrounds out in Calhan. Then we have another October 13th at the Fountain Valley Senior Center, October 18th at the Colorado Springs Senior Center, October 27th up in the Palmer Lake, Tri-Lakes areas at the Mennonite Community Church. And we are still working on a Spanish-speaking location. We had folks who met earlier this week at Centro de la Familia, also trying to make the connection with Our Lady of Guadalupe Church and Catholic Charities. So we hope to have a Spanish-speaking community conversation, but we have not been able to get that nailed down yet, but we do have the other 4 on the calendar. So that's our first announcement. Along with that, Innovations in Aging, they have launched their Innovations in Aging kind of 2.0 for the county, and they are hosting community conversations in the region as well. But they're not, I call them community conversations, but they're slightly different. They really are having this age-friendly outreach around the community. And they have a couple established as well. And if people are interested in that, I will be sending out the invite or the email that announced those. They have specific dates that they've set aside, but just as it took me a little bit of time to actually nail down exactly where we're going to be in El Paso County, Innovations in Aging is also kind of doing the same thing. So they do have some dates set aside, but not necessarily exact locations. So, but for people who want to participate in that conversation around how to make our county an age-friendly county, looking forward to those conversations happening. And then they will be hosting a summit on November 17th at the City Auditorium. And it's a kind of a full day, running from 9 till 2. And they're going to be sharing the results of the age-friendly discussions and talking about kind of next steps to make the county age-friendly. So be staying tuned for that. And the last thing I think I want to bring up for people to put on their calendar, it was a couple months ago now, our long-term care ombudsman, Lori McGinnis, had our board of directors and a couple of key community members host a long-term care roundtable here at the PPACG. It was an incredibly beneficial meeting. And the plan was to have another one to continue the conversation. And so that meeting has been set for October 5th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, this is an opportunity for people. There will be core people sitting around the table. Most likely Eric Bidwell, APS, will be one of those participants. Colorado Springs Police Department, a representative from the long-term care community, the PPACG board, and a few other people will be sitting around the table. And then people are invited to sit in the kind of audience and listen, with the idea, we're not able to do this the first time around, but we hope to have a little opportunity for open mic at the end of that, but don't count on it because there is so much that gets shared during that long-term care roundtable, just with the people sitting at the table, that it might be hard to have a few minutes to share your own insights. But it really is talking about what are we doing in the long-term care community? How are we making things better? What are the real issues? Because we have had people pass away and we are having long-term care communities close. And so, you know, when those communities close, where do people have to go live? It's a pretty significant crisis. So we are excited to have that long-term care roundtable happening again on October 5th. Before I turn this over to Kent Matthews, does anybody have any questions or comments about those particular events? Or Melody, do you have anything to add?
I just have a question. So you decided with them that you weren't going to put together the community conversations that the area agency is doing and that Age Friendly is doing because they seem to have significant differences in what they want to achieve.
You're exactly right, Debbie. Yep. We spent quite a bit of time, AAA and Innovations, trying to see if there was a way to combine the two together. But we really did realize that, you know, we just are asking kind of different questions. And we really want to make sure that people have an opportunity to talk about all of the different services that are provided through the Older Americans Act. And then we really want people to be able to have a conversation around what age friendly means. And they really are kind of different. So, yep, you're right, Debbie, we did keep them separate. But we want to be promoting them at the same time to make sure people can get to both if they want to. So, yeah, thanks, Debbie.
And just wanted to mention that the roundtable ombudsman information has gone out.
That's right, it has. Yep. So people, thank you. Yep. All right, other comments, or I'll turn it over to Kent, who's going to be at the podium. All right. All right, so Kent has some good news to share, and here he is.
Hi, I'm Kent Matthews, and I oversee the Family Caregiver Support Program here at the Area Agency on Aging. And on October 6th, which is a Thursday in the afternoon, we are going to be doing a caregiver simulation. I experienced this simulation 3 years ago when I was at a National Respite Conference in Buffalo, New York. And it's a wonderful simulation, and I want to recreate it because it provides for those who experience it a wonderful insight into the reality of trying to obtain services as a family caregiver. And the plan is this: on October 6th, we will be doing the simulation for the staff here at the Area Agency on Aging. And then after that, that's the dry run for us to get the kinks out, because after that, we want to, quote, take the simulation on the road. And one of the first road trips will be to do the simulation for the PPACG Board of Directors, the Pikes Peak Area Commission on Aging, and other folks. And then after that, begin to look at other entities, agencies, organizations in the Colorado Springs area that would benefit from the simulation. The reason I asked for a little bit of time today is because when we do the practice run on October 6th, I will probably need some more participants to fill out the available roles that we have. And I'm looking towards the RAC as possible members to do some of the role playing in the caregiving roles. The way the simulation works is basically this. It will start at 1 o'clock. There'll be an introduction and orientation, and then the simulation begins about 1:30. The simulation is caregivers who are role playing will experience 3 days. And in those 3 days, they have 9 specific tasks that they have to complete, like paying bills, picking up drugs, going to the Y for exercise, taking some respite. All of that will be those 9 tasks, but they will have a dilemma that they have to solve during one of those 3 days as well. Each day is 15 minutes long. At the end of each day, the caregivers leave where they are at and go back to their homes, and then the new day starts. The other thing is that while they are trying to complete these tasks or solve these dilemmas, I'm going to have floaters around, and the floaters will be giving each family member a wild card dilemma, like your water heater broke at home, you have to go home and get it repaired. Or you have been reported for possible neglect. As a caregiver, you need to report to DHS or to APS. And there's other wildcard dilemmas that are in there. The whole purpose is to create the reality of just how off balance family caregivers are as they go through the caregiving simulation. We will have 14 different agencies spread around the room. Those agencies are going to be staffed by volunteers who may not know the full depth of the services that their agency provides. But in the instructions I'm giving to the volunteers at those agencies that day, that's perfectly okay, because when caregivers come to particular agencies, sometimes they don't get the full information available, or sometimes they are given misinformation, not intentionally, but they're given misinformation. So all of that is in this simulation. What I'm looking for are RAC members who may be willing to role play the different families. I've got 5 different families. There's Emma and Al. They've been married for 61 years. Their health is declining. They are both caregivers and care receivers for each other. They have adult children living in the area who are not willing to step in to help. There's Grant, Kristen, and Alma. And Grant is a single father whose wife died of cancer. He is the sole caregiver for his mother-in-law, Alma, who came to live with them a couple of years before his wife died of cancer. She is declining from Parkinson's disease. And Kristen is a 9-year-old daughter who needs to go to school and tries to help care for her mother. But Grant is not comfortable with her caring for mom. And by the way, Grant works full-time. There's Joe and Stella. They represent a couple who are in their late 60s. They've been married for 42 years. Stella recently suffered a stroke and should not be left alone. Nancy Smith and Mary represent a daughter. Nancy is a daughter caring for her mom, Mary, and Mary is experiencing the late stages of Alzheimer's disease. And then Owen, Rose, and Jim represent a couple who are in their late 80s, and they're caring for their 12-year-old grandson who has autism. Those are the family roles. We're going to have 3 different groups of families, of those families. And so we will probably have, we are making this a staff activity for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. But I already know that not all of the staff members are going to be able to participate. And so I need to fill in those family roles with other people. And I think this may be a great opportunity for some of you as RAC members to kind of experience the reality that family caregivers face. So if you would like to be a family member for the simulation, drop me an email. My email is kmatthews@ppacg.org, and Matthews is with 1 T, MATHEWS, or you can call 719-471-2096, and ask for me or leave a message saying that you're willing to participate. If you're willing to participate as a family member for the simulation, the time commitment on Thursday, October 6th is basically be here by 1 o'clock to register or to check in. And then the simulation will be done at 3:30. Any questions? Okay. I hope to see some of you participating as family members. And if you're like me, when I went to the national conference, that's when I found out that I had a role to play in the simulation. I do not like role playing, but as somebody from the State Unit on Aging who was there and was helping with that, she said, I really got into my role, which I did. But the other is, after all the years of doing the work I've been doing, I learned some more about the frustrations and everything that family caregivers face by going through that role playing. So we will be gentle with you, but please consider taking on the challenge of role playing a family member in the simulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. It sounds very interesting, and we may have some budding actors in our RAC. Who knows? Very good. Is there anything else, Melissa? Okay. And then in terms of our my chair report, I just want to say thank you to so many of the committee members have participated in the community conversations, driving up to Park County for a couple sessions there, going to Teller County for several sessions there. I started listing people, and then I realized I practically had the whole rack listed. So I want to encourage you to participate in these upcoming community conversations in October. I don't know if any members want to comment on what they thought they learned so far in some of those community conversations. Debbie, do you have any reactions or something you'd like to bring back? You need to turn on your microphone.
Yeah, I guess I can say that I because of my past experience, I wasn't surprised. I went to the one in Woodland Park, and I wasn't surprised that those folks really like the fact that they live in a small rural community and that they want to stay there, and that therefore they want, they don't, they will drive into Colorado Springs, but they would prefer if there were more services available right in their own neighborhoods, which I think that we probably all agree with that. And, I think that it's nice to know that the area agency and those services in that county are really trying to meet their needs.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments by members that went to some of those community conversations? I think several of our people have left. Rosemary, you want to turn on your microphone?
I actually have not been to one, but I'm hoping to get to them. And I apologize, I have to jump off because we have people setting up some equipment for us and they need my computer.
And
Okay.
Rosemary, do you want to mention the Alzheimer's walk quickly before you get
Oh,
off?
yes, don't forget the walk, October 1, check-in starts at 8:30. And then all the events and everything start at 10. It is at Memorial Park, and then we walk around Prospect Lake. So please, I hope to see some of you out there. I think, Melissa, will you be staffing the table at the rack at the Pikes Peak area?
It's either going to be me Kent
Mhm.
or Melanie, one of our other staff, because we also
Okay.
have West Fest happening. But yep, we're going to be there with the
Okay.
table. If any RAC members want to come to either Alzheimer's Walk or West Fest, let me know.
Okay. So
Terrific.
sorry I have to leave early. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
What is West Fest?
So the West Fest happens at the West Side Community Center here on the west side of town. And it's kind of their annual event to kind of bring everybody out on the west side. But they also spend quite a bit of time talking about seniors and supports for seniors on the west side. And I wasn't sure they were even going to do it again. And we got notice maybe a week ago that it's happening. And so we're kind of scrambling to try to get folks to both the Alzheimer's Walk and West Fest at the same time. So West Fest is just all kinds of folks with booths talking about all kinds of stuff, food. They have a little bluegrass band playing. And so, especially if you live on the west side, kind of Colorado Avenue, west side area, it's just definitely a not to miss event. So we want to be a part of that for sure.
What time is West Fest? It's also on October 1st.
Yeah, it is. Both events are on October 1st. Yeah.
What time does it start? Do you know?
The West Fest, I think, is starting at 10 and runs till 2. So 10 to 2. The Alzheimer's Walk is, bright and early setting up. So, 7:30-ish to set up. And then it's usually over by around 11. And
Awesome,
anybody
thank
who
you.
wants to participate, Maria, if you don't have a table, you're welcome to attend either with us, and we'll put Independence Center information out as well and share that if you don't have a table out already. That goes for everybody.
Awesome. I don't think we do, but I will double check and I might be there with you guys.
Okay, super.
All right. So are there any other events happening that someone wants to bring to our attention? Looks like we've got a lot going on in October, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Melissa, can you just give us those dates again for the scheduled conversations? I have the 7th in Calhoun, the 13th in, I can't remember where I wrote it down here, the 18th at the CS community. Oh, there. Okay. And then the last one, is it somewhere near Monument or something?
It's at the Mennonite Community Church, which is in the Palmer Lake area.
And that's
Okay.
on the 27th.
Okay.
Correct. And I'll send out flyers with all the things that I just mentioned, along with the Alzheimer's Walk.
Any other events the members want to bring to our attention? No. Well, our next RAC meeting will be on October 27th. And once again, we'll do hybrid. Our executive committee meeting is on the first Wednesday of October at 1 o'clock. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our presenters. Appreciated the presentation, being brought up to date on your services, and we'll see you next month. Thanks so much. Bye now.